Back in 2015, Roblox was entering a completely different era. The front page was filled with games that weren't trying to copy each other. Developers were experimenting with unique ideas, creating experiences that felt impossible to find anywhere else. And among all of those games was one that looked simple. There were no fighting mechanics, no pets, no simulator gameplay, no flashy effects. You just chopped trees, sold wood, and built your own empire. Yet somehow, this simple idea became one of the most beloved games on Roblox. A game where players spend hundreds of hours building massive bases, collecting rare items, and creating entire towns. This game was Lumber Tycoon 2. For years, it was one of Roblox's greatest building games. But today, it is almost a time capsule. Updates stopped. The creator disappeared. The community slowly faded away. So what happened? How did one of Roblox's most iconic games go from having thousands of dedicated players to becoming a forgotten legend? This is the rise and fall of Lumber Tycoon 2. To understand Lumber Tycoon 2, we have to go back to 2000. The game was created by Defalcio, a developer who had already made a name for himself with the original Lumber Tycoon. The idea was extremely simple. You spawned into a forest with nothing but an axe. You chopped down trees. You sold the wood. You used that money to buy better tools, vehicles, and equipment. Eventually, you could purchase your own land and build whatever you wanted. And that freedom was what made the game special. Unlike most Roblox games at the time, Lumber Tycoon 2 didn't force players into a specific goal. There was no level system telling you what to do. No quest marker. No timer. You decided what your adventure was. Some players focused on becoming rich. Others built giant houses. Some created entire towns. And some just spent hours hunting for rare items. The game became a sandbox where players could create their own stories. But Lumber Tycoon 2 wasn't just about chopping down trees. The longer you played, the more you realized there was a lot more hidden around the map. The game was filled with strange locations, secrets, and items that weren't immediately explained to you. There were different biomes to explore, dangerous areas to reach, and places that required specific vehicles or equipment to access. And because the game didn't give you a giant list of objectives, players had to discover these things themselves. This created a huge sense of exploration. You might hear about a secret area from another player, see something in a YouTube video, or simply notice something strange while driving around the map. Then you'd spend the next hour trying to figure out how to reach it. Some of these discoveries became famous throughout the community, and YouTube made them even bigger. A video showing a secret location or a rare item could send thousands of players into the game trying to find it for themselves. This was one of the reasons Lumber Tycoon 2 stayed interesting for so long. There was always something you could discover. But eventually, players began discovering something else. Ways to get around the game's systems. Ways to duplicate items. Ways to make money faster. And eventually, ways to completely break the game. And this is where Lumber Tycoon 2's biggest problem began. At its peak, Lumber Tycoon 2 was one of Roblox's biggest games. YouTube played a huge role in its popularity. Creators started making videos showing massive bases, rare items, secret locations, money-making methods, trading guides. The game had something that many Roblox games lacked: a real economy. Players valued rare items because they were actually difficult to obtain. The most famous example was the many axes. The many axes became legendary because they were limited, rare, and sometimes connected to special events. Players would spend hours trading and collecting items. Having a rare axe wasn't just owning an item. It was showing that you had been playing for a long time. The game created its own community. But this also created its biggest problem. Because whenever a game has valuable items, people will find ways to break the system. One of Lumber Tycoon 2's biggest problems was exploiting. Players discovered ways to duplicate items. Instead of spending hours collecting rare items, some players could create copies. Suddenly, items that were supposed to be rare became much more common. The economy started changing. Trading became less trustworthy. Players didn't know if someone's inventory was legitimate. And for a game built around collecting and trading, this was a massive problem. However, the community stayed. Because even with the exploits, people still loved the game. They wanted more updates, more items, more areas to explore. And for a while, it seemed like Lumber Tycoon 2 would continue growing forever. But then something started changing. Updates became less frequent. At first, nobody was worried. Players assumed the developer was simply working on something bigger. After all, Lumber Tycoon 2 was a massive game. Creating new areas, mechanics, and items takes time. But months passed. Then more months. The community started asking the same question. Where is the next update? The game still had players. People still built bases. People still traded. But the excitement started disappearing. A game can survive without constant updates. But eventually, players need a reason to come back. And Lumber Tycoon 2 was slowly losing that reason. The strangest part about Lumber Tycoon 2 was that it never truly died. It just became frozen in time. Unlike many Roblox games that completely disappear, Lumber Tycoon 2 still had a dedicated community. Players continued making videos. People still traded items. Old players returned for nostalgia. But new players weren't replacing the old ones. The game became something different. It stopped being a growing Roblox experience. It became a memory. A snapshot of an older version of Roblox. The biggest mystery surrounding Lumber Tycoon 2 is the developer. Players constantly wondered, was a new update coming? Was the game abandoned? Was Defulcio working on something else? Unlike some developers who constantly communicate with their communities, there was very little information. And as time went on, the silence became louder. The community started accepting that the game they loved might never receive another major update. The game wasn't killed by one bad update. There wasn't one moment where everyone quit. Instead, Lumber Tycoon 2 slowly faded. Even though Lumber Tycoon 2 isn't the massive game it once was, its impact is undeniable. It proved that Roblox games didn't need complicated systems to be successful. A simple idea, combined with creativity and freedom, could create a game people would remember for years. Many modern Roblox building games owe something to Lumber Tycoon 2. The trading, the building, the sandbox freedom, the idea that players could create their own goals. Today, Lumber Tycoon 2 feels like a forgotten forest. The trees are still there. The bases are still standing. The items are still waiting. But the era that made it special is gone. And maybe that's what makes the game memorable. Because for the players who were there, Lumber Tycoon 2 wasn't just a game. It was a place where they spent hundreds of hours building something that was completely their own. And even if the creator moved on, the legacy of Lumber Tycoon 2 will always remain. So, what happened to Lumber Tycoon 2? The answer is complicated. It wasn't destroyed by one mistake. It wasn't ruined overnight. It simply became a game left behind by time. A Roblox legend that disappeared, but was never forgotten.